Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live. Sorry you've caught me mid snack. I'm a bit late. It's been a hectic evening. Um, thank you. It's been a hectic evening. Um, just one of those things. Life is really, but we're getting on with it. I'm very. Where's my head tonight? My head is missing. It's been cut off by the camera. Oh, sorry. Let's fix it. There we go. That's much better. So, how is everyone? How have you all been? I hope you've had a fantastic week. It is Friday night. It is the usual night for our live stream at 8 o'clock. So we're just going to give this a few seconds there for people to start filtering in and just give a little hello when you're in, guys. And I'm going to carry on eating my English muffin because I'm hungry. So, as I said, I hope you've all been well. It's been a fantastic week. I'm totally unfiltered and a muffin driver. How are you, Jim? How are you keeping? How's life in Poland? I know you've had a testing week over there with things going on across the border, but I hope all is well. I hope you're keeping good. Um, yeah, there was a strange one about that whole. I'm not going to go into it because I don't. This channel we don't get involved in politics, but yeah, scary times when that explosion happened in Poland. But it seems thankfully it's not thankfully two people were killed, but I mean it hasn't come to much. Watch out, Stan's about. Hello, Stan. How are you? Um, little insight, little insider for you guys. Stan got a fantastic item to his collection today. I'm not going to say what it is, but he got a fantastic item for his collection today. It's going to be well worth to watch a video of his when he puts it up on the actual item. Very impressed with it actually myself. I'm actually thinking about getting stuff like that Stan for in here. Well, not in here for the new one because hopefully we won't be in here much longer. That was Ukrainian missile. Yeah, I seen that, but unfortunately, things in war happen like that. At least it wasn't a, shall we say, a direct attack. Um, that it was an accident. I don't know. The Poland or Ukraine, I don't think still have admitted that it was their rocket. But I'm not sure. But look, I'm sure it'll get solved. Bloody English muffins are good. Yeah, cheers, John. I do like the item. Yeah, it's a fantastic item. It's very, very cool. Um, S300 can't travel that far from where the Ruskies are. Yeah. I suppose if people want to talk about what's going on over there, it's what have we know? Nearly 9 months on. Um, the Russians, I believe, from what's coming out, um, I believe they thought they'd have the whole of Ukraine taken within a week. They haven't. Um, it's just it's crazy. It's crazy to watch because take away the propaganda side of it, stuff like that, and if you take it as a neutral and watch it as a neutral, um, I'm sorry, Les, but the Russians army has gotten. I don't know. It's lost all morale. It's lost all discipline. It's just a ragtag bunch of God only knows what. I was watching a video there today of a reporter going through Russian positions that had been taken in Kherson. And it was just showing the conditions, and it was like a dump. It was physically like a dump. They had rubbish thrown everywhere. They had kit thrown everywhere. It just goes to show how ill-disciplined they actually are. Either that, or they just didn't think they were going to be staying there that long. But yeah, it looked atrocious, not to tell the truth. The only thing Putin can take down is his trousers. Well, I don't know. Putin is still a very, very powerful man. But his army, the supposed, I don't know what the Russians were, second or third best top army in the world, but it's going to prove that their equipment is a lot lacking. The NATO stuff is wiping the floor with it. Andrew Johnson, hello troops, evening, how are you? Hello Kenny, hi Kenny, how are you? Hi Andrew, thanks for the tip off DDR parade helmet, waiting for payday, watching it. Oh, very cool. Yeah, Andrew's the same with me. He's sort of like my little quartermaster. If he finds, I don't know how he does it, but I could say to him, say, look, Andrew, I'm looking for something, or have you seen? Do you know where I can get this? And normally within 5 to 10 minutes, he'll come back to me and go, yeah, here, I have some. So he's very, very good, Andrew Johnson. Actually has his own YouTube, guys. I forgot to say that. I haven't given people a plug in a while, but Andrew Johnson has his own channel. If you haven't subscribed, go subscribe to him. Steel Hammer Stan has his own channel. Go subscribe to him. Ralph, hello, how are you? I just seen you pop in there. Kenny, I don't know, have you a YouTube channel? Jim has one. Go check out Jim as well if you're around. The main channel that I want to actually subscribe to at the minute, or I want people to subscribe to, is Danny Reese's channel. There's a couple, there's 3 or 4. But Hertfordshire Regimental Museums, lads, please go and check Danny's page. He's the assistant curator in that museum, and he does a fantastic job there. And I'd love to get them as much press or as much publicity as I possibly can, because they're a private little museum. There's only 2 or 3 that lads running it. They're a lot on donations of equipment and stuff for the museum. So it's very good. If any of you ever get a chance to see it. Ben Shannon, what UDR items do you own? I was curious about seeing the UDR number 2 dress video. I have UDR stuff. What have I? I have a couple of berets. I have belts. I have shoulder titles. I have flags. I have a UDR dress uniform. Patches, pins, things like that. Posters, books. Because the UDR, the Ulster Defence Regiment, at one point were the largest. Actually, that jacket, believe it or not, 68 pattern, that was given to me by a UDR man. So technically that's UDR. But yeah, UDR standard British issue kit of the time was what the UDR were wearing. Specifically UDR items, headdress. What I have in my collection are headdress, cap badges, shoulder titles, brassards, staple belt, things like that. But I have them for other regiments as well, so not just UDR. I enjoyed your Malta lid video. Interesting camera pattern like the US 3-color. Yes, the idea behind it's called a rubble pattern. But it's designed to mimic stone walls and rubble. The helmet that I showed you in Danny's collection is a reproduction. The originals are €800-900, or sorry, £800-900. Kenny has a family connection to the island in Malta, so that's why he has the little helmet in his collection, just as a memento, keepsake. But when I seen it, I said, yeah, it's very interesting. You don't see them. You don't see those helmets. So I did a video on it. Actually, I did honestly go, Jesus, Stan would like this video, or he'd enjoyed his helmet. So I did a video specific. That video is specifically for Stan because I knew he'd like that video. So yeah, so I did that. But yeah, they're very interesting little camouflage. Kenny Rebel does. Kenny Rebel does he? I bought from him a few times. I can recommend his podcast about the time in NVA. So I missed there. 1 second. I go see. Kenny. Oh, I'm sure Thorsten had. Okay. He's answering a question. Weekend war movie tip on YouTube. Outpost 3, The Rise of the Spetsnaz. Cool movie. Okay, we can give it a look. Managed to get one of the last bits for my Bundeswehr kit. A new gas mask, cape and bag and filter. All in mint condition. Very cool, Kenny. Very, very cool. My West German is complete. I don't have a gas mask actually for my East German. But I do have one for my West German. I don't have one for my East German. Blow it out impression, mannequin, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I do need, actually, come think of it now, I do need to get a gas mask for my East German impression, or mannequin collection. When he was on Cold War conservation stand, he was in the East German artillery officer. Okay, cool. Speaking of kit, I'll go to the container tomorrow and get those 44 pattern water bottle pouches. I need to get the Camp Cot for Lyle coming up. Oh yeah, cool. I actually forgot myself about that. If anyone wants to know, I'm actually doing a project in relation to the Falklands that a few people might find interesting. That'll be coming up soon, hopefully in the next month or two. I just still have bits and bobs to get. But yeah, so there you go. Kenny Rebel, yeah, I've spoken to him via email a couple of times, and he was in the last NVA parade in 1989. Very cool. I actually remember the wall being sitting down with my dad. Yeah, my dad and my mum. I think it was Sky News actually. I think we had the channels at the time. And watching them take down the wall and up on top of the wall, and it was in the middle of the night if I remember correctly. I think I was specifically woken up to go and watch this. Because my dad was a big history buff. That's probably where I get my interest from. But my dad was a big history buff, so he sort of knew it was going to be, I suppose, a once in a lifetime opportunity or something like that. I suppose like watching the NASA space shuttle land on the moon. So yeah, so I can remember sitting down watching it actually. Yeah. Who knew that every SA cap badge collar tabs are a different color, and that color represents the province in Germany where they were worn? Yeah, I do actually, because if you look at my police hat, that is, well, it's not mine, it stands now because it's in his little care package. It's blue and white for Bavaria, if I remember. Yeah, cheers, John. I always enjoyed a steel helmet video. Yeah, perfect. No problem, Stan. I honestly did think of you when I seen that helmet, so I was like, standard like this. Jude, hello. How are you, Jude? How are you keeping? Hope you're keeping well. Your side of the country. Military Collectibles. Hello, CJ. How are you doing? Hope you're keeping well as well. I'm gonna scoop over some of them comments because you're just saying hello to each other. And I'll just carry on. Shando. Hi, John. Hello, Shando. How are you doing? Hope you're keeping well. Juice Lions, the Beatles have a song about that name. probably why he's called that name, actually. Never thought of it, actually. Still have a stand horizontal on the sofa made poorly. Oh, Military Collectibles, I hope you feel better soon. Sorry to hear you're not feeling well. When the Berlin Wall fell, Stan was a young 20-year-old boilermaker in Lloyd Lloyd Wharf shipyard. Bavarian, West Germany didn't realise the importance at the time. Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things where I know people that I can remember. Okay, famous historical events that I can remember. Berlin Wall, the passing of Princess Di. I can remember watching that as well, or filtering it. 9/11, of course. I remember exactly what I was doing that day. I can remember Diana, and I can remember watching it stuff on the Berlin Wall with my dad and my mum. But I definitely can remember exactly what I was doing when Princess Diana was killed, 9/11. What other historical events happened in my time? Gulf War. Gulf War 1. I can remember being woken up by my dad to watch again on Sky News, watch the old green pictures of rockets and machine gun fire as Baghdad was being hit at the start of Desert Storm. I remember that. If anything else pops into my head, I remember. Oh, excuse me, I don't know where that came out of. I thought I'd remember it. Sorry, Berlin had a black collar to the SA hats. Okay, cool. Didn't know that now. Get well soon, CJ. Exactly, get well. Always thought the West German Vupu leather jackets were cool. Probably watched. Yeah, Octopussy too much for James Bond. Joe, what I'd really, really love if I could ever get one of them. They do reproductions, but even the reproductions are very, very expensive. I don't know that's specifically for the fighter pilots, but the British World War II fighter pilot leather jackets with the big woolly collars and big woolly cuffs on them. I'd love one of them. I think they're nice. If I also had an original Banana Dennison smock, I'd love one of them from the 60s era. They'd probably be two items in my collection that I would. They're achievable get, but then again, it's cost and it's a matter of finding them. I do plan on fingers crossed, get the Stoneleigh military fair in England next year after Christmas. So I might have a little list, and if I see something there in a good price, I'll pick it up. But I do have a list of stuff that I want to finish off projects with, and that's why I will be going to Stoneleigh. If any of you are going to Stoneleigh, and if you do bump into me, you're more than welcome to come and say hello. Bring tea, which is even better. So yeah. Stan. Still telling Stan always stand so you can play a piece of history you didn't know about. Okay. Get well soon. I watched the Berlin Wall fall on a newsstand. Jesus. Hey Jude was number one in August 1968. I was born in October that year, so that that there you go. Very cool. I like some of Elvis's stuff actually. I do admit. I like his earlier stuff. I don't like his later stuff. Um, Falklands War was my first landmark memory. I am an old fart. Well, I don't remember the Falklands, but I do remember other bits and pieces. Gulf War One being one. I remember that. That's probably the first conflict that I really remember sitting down and having an interest in it and watching as it was unfolding on the telly. I did have a scrapbook actually. I can remember. I don't know where it ever went, but I did have a scrapbook from newspapers clippings at the time, and I can remember having a big, massive article because at the time was I 12 or 13 or something like that. But at the time there was a 16. Was he 16 or 17? I think he was 16. He was the youngest British soldier that was sent to the Falklands. He was serving in Kuwait, but whatever. I don't think he could actually go into theatre. But yeah, I can remember having a big, massive article about him in the scrapbook and other bits and bobs. Um, there was. I can remember I had a graph of the Scud missiles. It would show you how, like you have now. So you have like a Scud missile. So you have Iraq, and then you've got the range that the Scud missile could go, like into Israel and stuff like that. Because he dropped a few of them. If I remember, trying to bring Israel into the war, to bring more Arab countries in on his side if Israel did join the war. So yeah. Um, um, I remember Peter Flack dying. Forgive me, I can't remember who Peter Flack is. Military collectibles, yeah, I suppose, but I didn't realize it. I wish I'd visited DDR before the wall fell. I could have. It was 6 months of my life. My what you can put, yeah. There's a lot of things that, in hindsight, that you realize that you should have done. My one was I don't know, for whatever reason, when I was a kid. As a kid, I wanted to go to Legoland in the UK. I don't know why. I did. I used to. I wanted when I was a child. I used to love Lego. Build massive towers and everything. My toy of choice was Lego. Um, and I remember seeing it on a paper or something. And I was like, yeah, I'll go to Legoland. I'll go to Lego. I was 16 or 17. Was I even in the army at the time? I wasn't. I don't think I was in the army at the time. But I was an old enough teenager. I could have made the effort to go to see it, but I never did. And I sort of was like, you always wanted to go see it. You were so enthralled in it that you wanted, because I couldn't. I like the idea of having like this little miniature town with cars and stuff like that driving around it, and trains and stuff like that. But yeah, the closest I ever got to it was watching Hot Fuzz. Was it Hot Fuzz, the movie Hot Fuzz, where your man got impaled through the jaw with the Lego, or the little mock village um, church. Um, American veteran Tom Rich, who jumped over the Netherlands in 17th September 1945, Operation American Garden. He died at the age of 101. Oh, okay. There's. I'd love to actually know how many, because Harry Patches. There was Harry Patches. There was a Navy guy and there was an Air Corps guy, if I remember. But Harry Patches was definitely. That's another thing actually I can remember. I suppose historical fact I can remember is I remember the last World War One veteran passing away, and he got a state funeral as well, if I believe. Um, I know one of the SAS originals is still alive. He's probably about 101 as well at the same time. Still got all these full marbles. And interestingly enough, he's not only the last SAS original, he's also the last LRG, Long Range Desert Group veteran. People forget about that. He was originally Long Range Desert Group. Um, so he was two originals, if you get me. Yeah. But sorry, getting back to the question or getting back to the topic, I'd love to know how many World War Two veterans are actually left and how close we are to that elusive you were the last survivor. Um, I guarantee it's going to come up in the next few years. Guaranteed. Um, Elvis popping his clogs, watched the news that night, aged 11, on a borrowed red plastic portable TV. The Falklands War, the first modern war. My lifetime, remember collecting the posters from the papers. Yeah, I did the same for Gulf War One. I do remember collecting posters and bits and bobs from Gulf War One. Um, the unit he was part of, the 101st Airborne, announced this on Thursday. She described Rich as a humble man who just wanted to do his duty for his country. Most guys did. Most guys just, yeah, I have to go because it's my country call me. Um, they were very humble. A lot of guys, especially during the First World War in Ireland, anyway. World War Two as well, I suppose. Vietnam even. They went and did whatever service they did. They came back and slotted back into society, probably with their own demons in their head, but they still slotted back into society and never said anything about the wars. Um, that was another thing that I wish, in hindsight, I wish I could have done if I was a bit older. Um, would have been that I'd love to, and I suppose I could still do it. Is I'd love to have put like an advert in the paper and gone around and interviewed these Irish First World War and Second World War veterans, and I might do it in the future and see if I could do it, just to have their stories on tape because they need to be recorded too. Um, I might do it in the future if I could get guys that had been in the Northern Ireland and settled in Ireland, or um, guys that have been in Gulf War One and they're actually Irish or French Foreign Legion. Believe it or not, there's an awful lot, a hell of an awful lot of Irish lads in the French Foreign Legion. You come across them the whole time. The chap up the road from me, he was in Algeria in the Algerian wars with the French Foreign Legion. Um, so yeah, nice guy, old man now. But he like that slipped in, fat back, fat back, sat back into society and just doesn't mention his military service. Um, they used to make them flying jackets in Bungay, a small village near me. My dad's friend had a custom barber or bomber style one made with trousers, made with trousers and boots. Lovely bit of kit. They are shut now. What a shame. Yeah, it's. Actually, me and a buddy of mine at work, we were talking there the other day, and we were going on about trades that are nearly non-existent now at the moment in Ireland. Anyway, I don't know about in England, but thatchers, coopers, blacksmiths, paper makers, printers, old-fashioned printers. Um, what else were we on? Even simple things like gardeners, actual physical tradesmen, gardeners. Um, you know, I remember gardeners. I remember painters. Everyone now can paint. If you get me, it's not that skilled trade as it used to be because before they'd have to mix the paint and all this type of stuff. But yeah, to a certain degree, painters is non-existent. It's not a trade. Hmm. Excuse me now compared to what it was. Uh, I can't think of any. Yeah, Coopers anyway, definitely. Blacksmiths, thatchers, basket makers is another one. Basket weavers. Um, all those trades, they're all gone. They're all dying away. Um, when Freddie Mercury died, Stan was in New South Wales bush working on property, surprisingly, as a boiler maker. Such is life. Freddie Mercury. Do I remember? I wasn't that into his music. I do remember vaguely stuff about Freddie Mercury's passing. Was he one? Was he? I don't want to say it because I don't want to be derogatory to the man, but was he the first celebrity to pass away with AIDS, if I remember correctly? I think that was his. Apart from being a musician, I think that was one of the things as well. They were saying he could have been one of the first celebrities to contract AIDS and to pass away from it. Yeah, I think I remember seeing something about that. What did you think of the World War II plane crash with the B-17 and those 6 died? Yeah, it's horrible, absolutely horrible. A simple mistake, tragic accident, unfortunately. What can you say? What can you say? These things happen, unfortunately. They shouldn't, but they do. Um, yeah, another piece of history now gone. Well, two pieces of history gone as well, I suppose. Uh, was indeed in Dallas, Texas. Yeah, very sad, very sad. Um, did none of you remember news articles about Vietnam? I did. I was very young, but there used to be reports about Vietnam on the 6 o'clock news. Definitely, definitely, well before my time. Um, don't remember anything to do with Vietnam. I did have an uncle that was drafted around that time in the American Army, and we definitely think he did at least one tour there, possibly two. Never talked about it again. Never talked about his military service. I do have pictures of him, bits and bobs from when he was in the military, but yeah, he's passed away now as well since, unfortunately. Another guy that I should have, in hindsight, should have sat down and talked to and tried to get his stuff on record. U.S. aviation investigations have a video on YouTube explaining the investigation process into the crash. Very interesting. Oh, I might look that up actually, because I was always one of these. I wouldn't say I'm a nervous flyer. I hate landing and I hate taking off. When I'm in the air, I'm fine in a plane. But I used to be. I can remember going to Australia one time, um, over for a family get together, and I can remember whatever possessed me, sitting down and watching aircraft investigation for like 2 days before I flew. I did a marathon binge of airport or air crash investigation, and I crapped my pants the whole way every time I had a bump, all the way to friggin' Australia. And if any of you know how far it is from Ireland to Australia, it's friggin' long. It's nearly 2 days of travelling. So yeah, hate seeing those types of accidents. Lost my stepdad to a warboard accident. Sorry to hear that, Kenny. Did not know that. No. Really, really apologise and sorry to hear that your stepdad was killed in that way. It was terrible. Saw the picture and honestly thought it was from a movie. Yeah, it did actually look like it. Um, the whole like I'm not going to go into it because obviously Kenny is doesn't like us talking about it, so that's fine. But the whole B-17 literally just looked like it fell apart. Uh, where have we gone? P-61, I think, terrible visibility from the cockpit. I don't know, actually. I don't know. Would you recommend the IDF as a career? Yes, I would. But I would need. If somebody turned around to me and said, "Would joining the Irish Defence Forces be a career?" They would want to think long and hard about what they're going to do, because it is not a profession that you're going to earn millions out of. It is a profession that you will live by, as in you will be paid enough to live. Um, when you start in a relationship with a girl, fella, whatever is your taste, it's up to you. Uh, you'd want to have a massive conversation with them and go, well, if you're going to be my partner, you have to realize that the army will suck a massive part of your social life away by getting sent on exercise, by doing duties at weekends, doing duties during the week, going overseas. Um, you're going to miss birthdays, you're going to miss Christmases, you're going to miss lots of stuff. So all that needs to be put on the table. But yeah, it is a career. It is a good career. And like that, you know, I'd recommend anyone get in, do your first 5 years, and see how you get on. If you enjoy it, fair enough. If you don't, if it's not for you, good, get out. But don't stick it any longer than your first 5 years. Um, because the longer you're in, the harder it is. And if you are going to go and make a career, do go all hell bent into it. Go into it as a career. Do as many courses as you possibly can, as quick as you possibly can. Um, do your NCOs course, do your weapons courses, do all those type of courses. Um, because the minute you slow down is when you fall into a rut, and then it's harder to get back on the wheel. So literally, when you go in, just stay away from the guys that have been in for years and years and years and are still a private. Because no, there's nothing wrong with them. They're nice guys or whatever, but you'll get to know that type of people. They're we call them five and duns. They'll get in, do their first service and out. Um, but if you're going to make a career of it, get as much education as you can, get as much possibly careers as you can get done, and while you're doing the military stuff of it, try and do a civilian qualification as well at the same stage. So if you're like going to be a PTI, you'll get a civilian qualification. Or if you're going to be a chef, you'll get a civilian qualification at the other side of it. But that is there as if you do decide to leave the army for whatever reason, you have a civilian qualification. Um, but also, God forbid you get hurt, you get discharged due to injuries that you've sustained or stuff like that. Like myself, I was actually discharged due to injuries I sustained while in service. Um, Long story short, I was in a bad accident. I ruptured my spleen, cracked my cheekbone, cracked my jaw, cracked my eye socket, uh, dislocated a leg. I had a list of injuries as length of your arm, and I served for about 2 or 3 years after I had the injuries. Got back to fitness, got like that. The army, in fairness, was fantastic. They paid for all my medical bills, paid for all my rehabilitation, everything like that. But there was a question mark about me going back overseas again because the fact that I had lost my spleen, I wasn't able to take the malaria tablets. So that's basically why they were like, okay, well, you can't exactly go overseas again. So um, that's why I was actually discharged from the army, was due to injuries that I sustained in service. But yeah, sorry, getting back to your case, always have a fallback plan. But yeah, I would recommend a career for the defense forces. Um, P-46 Cobra King, Air Cobra, I think. He says it really hurts. Hot fuzz. Yeah, exactly. When he got his head stuck in the spike of the tower. I stand corrected. What are you being corrected about, Stan? I can't remember. Oh, sorry, the Cobra King? Cobra King, whatever. Um, Thanks, Andrew. Thought I was wrong. Still a Mustang. Was it a Mustang? I don't know, actually, lads. I don't really know that plane very well. I know a B-17. I know a Spitfire. I know a Hurricane. Off the top of my head. I get wrong. A Mustang. I know what a Mustang looks like. Um, Even if you, I know an A10 Warthog modern one. I know what they look like. After that, I wouldn't have a clue. Um, I have very vague memories at the end of the Vietnam War. Vietnam War, I wouldn't remember it all at all at all. Okay, P-63 Cobra from World War II. Still don't know what the plane. I know what the plane looks like because I've seen it in the pictures, but before that, I wouldn't have been able to tell. But if somebody had pointed to the B-17 and went, "That's a B-17," I'd have went, "Yeah, okay." But if you would have went, "Which is the P-63," I'd have been, "Oh, but there could be more to do. But that could be more to do with the people about after the war, after on the news. I was born in '69. Okay. Ralph, P-63 King Cobra 1 crashed in the UK at Biggin Hill in 2001. So they have problems. Okay. I've never actually been to an air show, lads. I know you're all going to be like, what? Yeah, I've never been to an air show. Sorry. Uh, I've never been to any, okay, what, I've never been to a music festival. I've been to concerts, but I've never been to a music festival. Um, I've never been to a air show. Um, I have never. Sorry, have I? No, I haven't actually. I've never been to an actual soccer game, British soccer game, football. Been to Irish GAA matches and hurling matches and rugby matches. Never, ever, ever been to a soccer game. Um, yeah. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know. um, I remember the 50th anniversary of the end of World War II in '95. I remember there was a. Sorry, I finished reading the question. They had lots of veterans visiting the camps in Germany at the end. Met lots of them in Hunden camp next to Breslin. Um, I do remember, I think it was the 75th, it could be the 80th or something like that. Massive celebration for D Day. Could have been 50 years even as well, if I can remember. I can't remember what it was. But I remember a massive celebration as well when I was a young fella. Like that again, newspaper cutouts. My next door neighbour, actually, she's still with us. She's still there. Her father was in the Royal Navy for the duration of the war, and her son. I do have my navy caps over there. Her son actually got me a navy cap because he worked in a shipyard. Um, but I do remember. I'd love to actually know. I must sit down and talk to Chris actually. About her father's history. She has a lot. She's pictures of him in his uniform and stuff. Yeah, from Merseyside in Liverpool, I believe. Yeah. In the 1970s, one of the guys at the local bookies used to write results on the blackboard. When he died in the 80s, turned out he was a World War II German paratrooper, brought to the UK as a POW and never went home. Very cool. One they're a famous footballer as well. They made a movie about him there not so long ago. Played in. He was a goalie. Uh, they found out he was a good goalie. I think he ended up in the English Premiership and stayed in England after the war. Um, um, Turned out he'd won a Knight's Cross as well, if I remember correct. And married an English girl as well, if I believe was correct. Don't think he was the first to die. Didn't think he was the first to die. I don't understand what you mean by that one, Kenny Rebel. Who was the first to die? No, Rock Hudson was first high profile. Is sorry, Freddie Mercury. Sorry. Uh, I didn't know Rock Hudson died of AIDS. Oh, okay, I stand corrected. Thanks very much, Jude. Um, there were lots of Italian POWs that stayed behind in this area, Central Scotland area. There's still a big Italian community here. They are related to them. Very cool. I know Polish lads after the Second World War were the same. They didn't know what to do, whether to go home or stay or what. Um, those of them that did go home, I believe, an awful lot of, or weren't exactly treated very good by the Russians. Can you tell it's my couplet? Yeah, they weren't treated very well by the Russians. At the end of that movie, Hurricane, actually about the Polish that fought for the RAF. There's a very interesting scene in that where they're like a man sort of torn between staying in England or going back to Poland. Um, yeah, so I think an awful lot of Polish as well. Still. Rock Hudson was in the U.S. Navy in World War II. Good actor in Tobruk and Ice Station Zebra. I did not know he died of AIDS though. Um, I did not know. It's I suppose it's like everything else now that they realise that it's not just at the time it was like the homosexual disease. Sorry for being derogatory. I'm not being derogatory, but at that moment in time in history, they believed like it was only a disease that homosexuals got, and then they realized, okay, it's not. It's actually blood transmitted. Heterosexuals can get it. Anyone can get it. So yes, but like, I do have a friend of mine actually, an acquaintance friend. He was in America in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, when I suppose they didn't know, like this thing just like it was like COVID. It just appeared and people were dying, and they're like, "Oh, what the hell is this?" And they were trying to figure out how it was transmitted, how it was got and stuff like that. But he actually worked in the States hospice for these people that were dying of AIDS. Um, and yeah, he talked about it once or twice, just trying to make these people as comfortable as possible in their last few days and weeks and days and stuff like that. And I can remember him telling me like it was everyone and anyone that he was dealing with. Um, they just didn't know at the time. They didn't know what was causing this disease. Um, like now HIV, which I suppose back then would have developed into AIDS, or was a precursor, I suppose, to AIDS. I'm not exactly medically literate when it comes to stuff like that, but look, that's treatable now. You can live with that illness now. Jordan, is it Jordan? Yeah, the basketball player. He's famously got HIV through a blood transfusion, if I remember correctly. Um, yeah, so it's crazy how um, polio, TB, meningitis, these diseases that wiped out thousands in history, are now treatable. It's like getting a cold. Um, Cancers, thankfully, to a certain degree, um, once they catch them very, very early, um, most cancers, believe it or not, are curable if they're caught in the early stages. It's how it is the progression, how far along it is. So yeah, so interesting enough. Um, I regularly crap my pants these days. Uh, I don't mind talking about it. To be honest, John, it was the risk of flying those old birds. Pilots understood, and when they go up, will still go up because they love it. Yeah, thanks, Kenny. Thanks very much. Um, uh, I've done the Australian flights 8 times, twice on my own. It is a bloody ball ache, and I do not like flying. I reckon if I went back, I'd probably not come back, such as I hate it for. Um, One thing on my bucket list, God forbid if anything ever happens to me in the morning, one thing on my bucket list is I want to do a world cruise. I would love to do a world cruise. Um, Flying, don't I do it. I'm not, as I said, I'm taking off and landing. Don't like it when I'm in the air. I don't mind. Um, I'd love to do a world cruise. I don't know, something about it. I just love the idea of waking up at a different spot every morning. Yeah, it'd be cool. Too bad that the films like Tobruk 1966, Ross and American were used as German vehicles. Military consultants like Dale Dye were unknown in Hollywood. It doesn't even have to be then. If you look at the new BBC Rogue Heroes, some of their vehicles are incorrect as well. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I like when you see guys with money, with these big film productions with money, um, like small little fixes, like um, Rogue Heroes, the series that's on the BBC. I'm still watching it. I've watched it and I'm rewatching it now for the. I've watched it for the historical content side of it. I'm watching it now for the entertainment side of it. Yeah, it's simple things that could have been changed. Like not every bloody one in World War II were aviators. That's one historical fact. Two, Paddy Mayne didn't always have a beard. Three, um, Why the hell have some of the cat badges got Queen's crowns on them? Simple little details like that aren't don't cost a fortune that could have been fixed. Yeah. Where have we gone? Jim Timber, the way I'm at. The way I'm at currently, a trouser temp would not be beneficial for me. Oh yeah, I know you're feeling a bit ill, CJ. I'm sorry. My next relationship will be donkey. I'm going to write it and write it. Oh, Tim. Biscuits brown. Yeah, it depends what you're sick from. If you do have a touch of constipation, eat some biscuits brown. I guarantee you. Well, no, biscuits brown would do the opposite. They'd bind you up. Biscuits fruit wouldn't be long cleaning you out, but biscuits brown would stop you. Yeah, if you did have the reverse effect. God's sake, Jim, spat my tea out. Military collectibles. I was once with a bucket puking CJ, and every time I did, oh God, food poisoning. Oh, um, private spell check. Sorry to hear that, John, mate. At least you came out on the other side. Oh, the injuries. Yeah, I did. I actually got the last rites twice, believe it or not. I have received all the Catholic sacraments except one, becoming a priest. I have everything else done, I think. I can't remember. Don't forgive me, I'm not a very good Catholic when it comes to sort of stuff like that. So, John, you deserve a purple heart after that. No, I don't. I don't get it. I wasn't wounded in action. Um, Irish Army don't actually have a wound. The United Nations do. If you're hurt on United Nations service, you do get one. I've seen it twice in my military career. I've seen a DSM twice in 3 times in my career. There's different categories to the DSM. You have gold, silver, and bronze. I've seen a gold one once, and I've seen a silver one once. I've never seen a bronze one. It depends on the category of bravery. So you've gold, silver, and bronze. DSM, Distinguished Service Medal. That's the Irish equivalent of the Victoria Cross or the uh, what's the one they have in America? The Medal of Honor. Ralph, what we find is the majority of World War II war films made in the US usually recycled some military vehicles using filmed in California unless filmed abroad, then they use local supplies. Yeah, exactly. That is a good point. Um, you do every now and again see these big, massive auction houses selling off a lot of kit. Soldier of Fortune. I don't know. There are other military suppliers out there, but if I do remember, Militaria or Soldier of Fortune supplied an awful lot of the equipment for Band of Brothers and for Pacific. And after the filming, they were given back the stock. Whether they leased it to them or sold it to them, I don't know. But I think you can still get Band of Brother or Pacific stuff. Midway as well, I think they did an awful lot of filming for, supplied an awful lot of equipment for that. And they sell back off the movie props then again. But you do come across auction or prop houses and stuff like that having auctions every now and again. Military collectibles, actors like Brendan King, Connery were better, but the equipment and vehicles, classic movies were. Those guys, a lot of those guys had served. Connery was in the Navy, if I remember correctly. Too, there's so much going around COVID, like, but not COVID. A lot of folks in the area have it. Oh, I'm sorry. It's like a tummy bug going around. Air shows are pants compared to 70s and 80s. Yeah, I've never been to an air show. Never been to an air show, so I couldn't even comment on that. Military collectibles, have you? Hope you are feeling better soon, mate. Yeah, I do. Uh, the vehicles were wrong. Brett Tidman? Trodman? Not sure what that one's about. Um, True, then we go to the more modern World War II movies, and the makers actually care about getting vehicles correct. For Valkyrie post-war, Czech Praga trucks were very well turned into US or World War II Mercedes. One of the product converted Mercedes trucks is in Ireland, owned by a reenacting group. Did not know that now. I have seen the Prada Mercedes truck in the Captain. The Captain was a very poor replica of a 6x4 Mercedes G4 heavy passenger car. And it's correct, but isn't it a G3? Isn't the G4 real? I remember an advert that said AIDS don't die of dyslexia. I can say this as I'm dyslexic. Charlie Sheen has AIDS too. Does he have AIDS or is it HIV? I can't remember what he has. I know he went a bit sideways there for a while. It's a repo, one can tell by the poor restoration of the folding hood. In the UK, a collector had the Mercedes G4, which was used in the Hogan's Hero. I do remember you watching a video about that actually. That you had, or was it the Hogan's Heroes ones? I do remember that you tracked down on eBay or something. You tracked down some car that was involved in some movie. Charlie Sheen drank Tiger Blood. Charlie Sheen went off the rails completely once. Said, "I love your English accent. I don't have an English accent. I have an Irish accent." Teddy. Not that there's anything wrong with an English accent, but I don't have an English accent. I have an Irish one. I plan on returning to a sailboat that's. We're planning on renting a sailboat that's crew sorted. Yeah, each to their own. Right, guys, it's 9:05 actually, so I better fly through these last ones and better say good luck. Is this the same G4 from Von Rhine Express, the night of the generals? Haha, Tiger Blood. I just watched that video. St. John of Collectibles. No, that one still resides in California. In the UK, G4 as found and on the black lot of productions also who made Hogan's Heroes. When they went bust, it got auctioned, and this guy found it. Okay, when it's correct was okay. Nice. Was the RAF 248 Squadron also in Malta in 1943? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Only the other bidder of the G4 was Mercedes themselves, and he got outbid. It's now fully restored, historically treated, and he sometimes goes to the pub in it. Found it was an ex-Hitler car. Was that the video? I can't remember. Oh, Hitler Road, no kidding. Hi, I have a challenge for you, but you need two people to rock, paper, scissors, and the winner make loser do whatever he feels like. The winner will be the boss, and loser will be the assistant. Okay, if we had time. Hermann Goring had a Mercedes. Used to sound the horn and drove it. I think he sold it recently. Massive collection. What have we got? Ooh. I believe Michael Caine is a Korean War veteran. I possibly could be. Was watching Men at Work with Charlie Sheen the other day. Funny film. Michael Caine was a Korean vet. Okay, so he was a Korean vet. Ralph, it originally was found in. It was originally found. It was originally found by Universal Studios, abandoned in Austria, taken to the US and fleet cutters. Actually, I must look up that video again. Actually, that you found out. Right, guys. So that's it. We've been on for an hour. It is 7 minutes past 9. Enjoy yourselves, guys. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Stay away from COVID. Anything else that's out there. And I'll see you all same time, place next week at 8 o'clock. Have a good one.